I went out to Wyoming and bought a little land. I lived between Sundance and Moorcroft. My nearest neighbor was 2 miles away. In September of 2021, I was diagnosed with AL amyloidosis. I had to be at Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota every 2 weeks, and it was 680 miles away. My name is Dennis Gruenhagen. I live in Storm Lake, Iowa, and I'm 82 years old. After college, I went to work in northern Minnesota. Then I headed out to Denver. I worked for a packaged concrete company. After that, I thought I'm going to retire at the age of 55. So I went out to Wyoming and bought a little land, and I loved it out there, but I didn't realize all the work that had to be done. I never worked so hard in my life, fixing fence and fixing roads and took care of a few animals, things like that. When I moved out there, some of the neighbors had a bet on how long it would last. Well, I found out about this bet, and that made me more determined to stay out there than anything else. And this lasted a good 26 years, best years of my life. I was diagnosed with AL amyloidosis in September of 2021. Now, I noticed the symptoms probably a year before that with swelling in the calf, and went to the doctors, and they weren't too concerned at first, but then sent a kidney biopsy sample to Mayo, and then they diagnosed what I had. AL amyloidosis, stage 3B. So I was in the most advanced stage. Unfortunately, they didn't treat amyloidosis in Rapid City, where I got my diagnosis from, and that's where I had my doctors from. And they referred me to Rochester, Minnesota. Shortly after that, I had my started treatments at Mayo. And this included chemo treatments and various drugs. I had to be at Mayo in Rochester, Minnesota every 2 weeks, and it was 680 miles away. We worked it out so that I drove almost halfway to Chamberlain, South Dakota, and then they provided the transportation assistance from Chamberlain to Rochester, which I needed. I couldn't have done it without it. It was just too much. No doubt the easiest thing would have been for me to move real close to Rochester, but I loved it out in Wyoming too much. I wouldn't have been without my animals and things like that, and I couldn't part with that. They had a study drug that they wanted me to participate in. I signed up for that because they were going to assist me with whatever I needed, which was definitely transportation. And I think they really wanted me because my disease is rare. They call it a cousin of myeloma. It's a bone marrow where your proteins are developed, and my proteins were sort of folded over. And then when they went into my bloodstream, they attached to organs. And in my case, they attached to the heart and kidneys. So this study drug was trying to get those misformed proteins off of my organs. I think after about 3 years of this, they declared me had a complete hematologic response. And then 1 year after that, they took me off of my last chemo shot. Finally, age and medical issues, we had to work with that, and so I ended up here in Storm Lake, very close to my town where I grew up. Also, I had kidney failure. I had to go on dialysis. And this was last September. The timing was amazing because that's when I sold my place. I came back here, and they just got the Storm Lake Center up and running. I'll only have to go 2 miles. And all these miles that I was driving, I'm down to 2 miles now.